Working from home can be really lonely. I mean really, really lonely. Ever since the coronavirus entered into all of our lives, a privileged few have been able to work remotely at the comfort of their own homes. We have the ability to wake up, get out of bed, lounge around, sit at our desks or in our bed, and essentially get shit done whenever we want. The level of flexibility has skyrocketed for people who have the ability to work remotely, and every company that doesn't want to fear losing their employees are quickly adopting this work remote or hybrid mentality. I've been working remotely for over 2 years now, and even before COVID was a thing, I had convinced my company to allow me to work remotely as a digital nomad. I had the ability to move to Greece and work asynchronously for 6 months, all while having the ability to explore new places. I visited the Parthenon, Meteora, the Cycladic Islands. I even met my boyfriend there. Even now, I travel frequently and cherish having the privilege of being able to lounge in my pajamas, all while attending important architectural meetings and one-on-ones. We never could have imagined a world like this, and it's finally here. But did we ever stop to think about the consequences of working remotely? What about foregoing the commute to work to break up the day? And how about those offhand conversations with coworkers and happy hours after a stressful code review? Now, don't get me wrong, I love working remotely. It's the perfect setting for an awkward introvert such as myself. But man, does it get lonely. So I just finished working for the day. I typically work on Central Time while the rest of my coworkers either work on Pacific Time or Eastern Time. I usually just work by myself in the mornings, and my team adopts an asynchronous structure. That basically means that you can work whenever you want and there's no expectation to be online when others are. Aside from a few meetings that most people attend, pretty much work anytime we want as long as we get everything done. It's nice because it makes people more considerate of recording meetings, updating the documentation, and also being aware that not everyone's going to respond to your messages right away. However, after riding this high for a few weeks, I quickly realized how lonely I felt. I was no longer obligated to speak with people on a daily basis, and I didn't find meaning in my work since I wasn't able to get feedback or learn from other senior members of the team. Without this daily interaction with my coworkers, I started to lose motivation and work even longer hours to fill the void. Soon, there was no separation between my work and my life. I didn't interact with people and felt less motivated, so I worked even harder to somehow find more motivation. But working harder meant skipping hangouts with friends and canceling last-minute plans that involved stepping away from my laptop. Eventually, I became a work zombie. It felt like I had to scream really loudly, only to realize that no one was actually listening. That's when I realized something had to change. I was slowly starting to resent working from home, but knew that I had to do something in order to fix this feeling of loneliness. I had spent the majority of my career traveling and working remotely from various locations, and this had never been a big problem for me. I knew I had to actively participate in scheduling more interactions throughout my workday and as well as in my personal life. I knew it would be a challenging feat to break my habits, but it was definitely worth it if I wanted to break out of this rut of feeling lonely while working remotely. Now, this doesn't mean that I started overwhelming people's schedules by constantly scheduling meetings, but I would make it a point to have a virtual one-on-one every day with one person at minimum. Sometimes I would meet with a coworker that I worked with directly, ask her about questions. Sometimes I would meet with my previous onboarding buddy to chat about new projects on the horizon, and I would occasionally bug my boss or people outside of my scope of work to just hang out. Thankfully, a few of us gave similar feedback in our retros of feeling disconnected to the team. So our bosses scheduled more coffee chats, basically an hour where you can all hang out, drink coffee, and talk about random things. They even started planning quarterly events that we could all fly out to and attend in person. I could already start to feel more motivated and excited to start working each day. Not only that, but I also started working at coffee shops once or twice a week to have an ambiance of like-minded people, other remote workers around me. I also decided to set limits to the hours I was working. Instead of working in the night, I decided to stick to an 8-hour-a-day schedule. I would start work around 8 in the morning and wrap up around 4. This meant that I had ample time to also set aside time for my friends. And YouTube, of course. This meant setting my laptop aside and breaking up my day with a commute. this time to meet with friends. I made it a point to also chat with one person a day about anything other than work, whether that was FaceTiming my parents, going for a walk with my friends, or even grabbing drinks with coworkers. By deciding to prioritize human interaction during the workday and in my personal life, I slowly started to feel the same sense of gratitude for working from home as I once had before. I started to appreciate the structure of my life and even supplement these lonely days with visits to the office or even ice cream with friends after work. I learned that working remotely is a situation that needs to be approached with balance and mindfulness. If you abuse it, you may never fully appreciate how amazing of a situation it could be. So you need to actively make decisions every day on how to prioritize your schedule and make working from home work for you, if that's what you want.